He goes to school in Mitchell, but from,
Went to visit her on Friday night, but she wasn't home.
nope, she was home. Brought the boyfriend home so we could meet him.
Know where Troy's son lives, is in Fargo. Okay.
Well, just outside of Fargo,
Okay.
actually half an hour north of there. He
What's
works,
do?
he works. Heidi came, they drove her up there,
Yep,
which was really nice to visit with them. Saw your mom's out of the hospital. She
yep,
was at the program. I
yep.
ran back.
The next day, or that
Oh.
night, they had to leave again, then she had to leave Friday again to go down there for testing today, tomorrow and Wednesday, so.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't make sense.
Cause Addie gets her mail for her, then she works at the bank.
Yeah.
I've never
think
seen
it
one
is
old
for-
lady get so many cards, and I said, that's mom.
Yeah. It's not working?
Well, just coming out of the wrong.
Not a big deal, just sit there.
That's right. No, that's what it's gonna be. Like Justin, and he'll need to get on to. All right,
Are we ready?
we're ready.
All right, we will call to order the Lamberton City Council regular meeting at City Hall for December 9th, 2024 at 6:30 PM. First thing is additions or deletions to the agenda.
Yes, I forgot the tax and equalization meeting at 7 PM.
I was gonna ask you about that. I thought we were supposed to have a public meeting.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
You wanna make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda accepted. Consent agenda, with approval of the minutes for the October 30, 2024 EDA meeting minutes, the November 12th city council meeting minutes, and the November 22nd special city council minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve. What about these EDA? The ones that you just handed out?
Oh, that's my.
That's her report.
But
Oh,
I have
okay.
EA on it, I'm sorry.
Nope, that's fine. I just saw EDA and I was, okay, I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
By opposed? Motion carries, minutes accepted. General business, citizens complaints, none. Building and zoning request, none. Request for council action. We got Saturday water credit request.
Got two water requests. So Satterley, he had, toilet running in the basement. He does go down and check it occasionally, but when he went down and checked it, it had been running. So, he's asking for a credit. And he already paid 300 of it.
Hard to say no when that's the precedence we've set.
Yeah, that's kind of, as long as it's
Yeah,
the first.
I'll prove it.
I will second it.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. And Todd Lee, same thing.
Same thing, he's not quite sure what went on, but he had just, when I found it on that day we did bills on the second. He said, I was just there and shut off the water last week, but he hadn't noticed anything wrong, so he's like, something must have been running. But he did shut it off inside the house at this point.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. RCA for liquor licenses.
So it's the same three as usual, and this is what they've applied for. Everybody is on and off sale, and LJ's did opt for a Sunday liquor just in case you would like to be open.
I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And being we got enough without me, I will abstain, being I'm one of the licenses. The motion carries. Library board appointment. Place Jan, whose name was up with Vicky one.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
They opposed? Motion carries. RCA for personnel policy, public works.
So last month when we talked about, I wanted a motion for Tyler's, they're like, well, it's in policy. We shouldn't have to. Well, it's not in policy. It was on the job description, but it's not actually in like the employment policy where. it
So you're
should
just
be.
saying what you're requesting to do is take the piece off the job description and place it into the policy?
Well,
Or just get
worded it
approval for
different.
now?
I changed it. I changed the wording because it's basically, so you start at grade 4 and then when you successfully get class D. Then you go to grade 5 and then you need 3 years under class D to get the class C. And then you'd move to grade 6. But when you have both the water and wastewater of each one, then that's when you. But my understanding is you pretty much. Kind of coincide, don't they, together on how you get them or not really?
I have no idea.
That's the way it seems, so that's just what I said, when they get both of them for that class, then you bump them up.
I have questions on this. So why do we pay for a second person to get their certifications if we already have somebody that's certified?
Cause they leave town, is my understanding.
Yeah, you have to
I
always
mean,
have.
you have to have
somebody
it covered if, like, somebody goes on vacation, we can't deny vacation just because, right? Like, I'm assuming, right,
Right.
that's why, it's, so
Yeah.
I guess that's always been my understanding, is because you just have to. I mean, for coverage, cause it has to be 24 hours, there has to be somebody available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And
Okay,
then what happens is like, let's say you have somebody working under you. Doing the things, it's your license at stake. So if they screw up, you're the one that's screwed, so.
And don't they
everybody has
have
their
to
own-
One license.
Be available at,
I
like,
think so,
some
tourists-
kind of,
Yeah.
like, not immediate, but to some
Yeah.
extent, and just with being as small as we are.
okay, I just didn't know.
And the bad case scenarios is if somebody dies or gets mad and quits.
Right.
And it leaves you hanging, so we're much better off having both of them licensed if we can, so. And it used to be, what, a 75-cent bump or
Yep.
something like that back in the day, every license or whatever, and I don't know what this comes out to, but.
Well, and that
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 was
brings me to the
before.
next thing is has it always been that they'll remain at this, I mean, I understand the grade increase, but what about remaining at the same step? Because normally that's not, I mean, normally when you get bumped up, you don't stay at the same step. You get one pay step up. But if you're like a 4-7, you would go to a 5-3 or whatever the next pay increase is. So you still get a pay increase. But, and then you bump up every,
So you're saying you go upgrades, down steps?
well, you just get your next pay raise. You don't stay at the same step. Like, once you get up to a 4-7, you don't go to a 5-7, then a 6-7 automatically every time you get a bump up.
I'm not.
It'd be
So
the
what
next
were you
raise
saying?
above what you were at, only at the higher grade, so
Right.
I'm following.
So you, but that in our thing, that would be, you'd go up a grade, but probably down a step.
Generally
Well, it
speaking,
would be
because-
like if you did Tyler, he was step 5 or grade 4, step 5. If we went down, when he moved up a grade, but just to the next pay, he would have gotten a 5-cent raise.
but then his next raise comes a lot quicker. Usually because don't you like steps 1, 2, and 3, you only have to wait so long. 4, 5, and 6, you wait so long.
No.
Do that?
No.
Okay.
So then, even then, it wouldn't be much of a raise. I mean, I think the point of trying to get them to get their licenses is, the incentive is the money, then it's 76 cents for this next raise. Would be the difference, I mean. 39 cents from the one before.
I get what you're saying, Lynn, on that.
I mean, that's
If it,
generally
if it
how,
was lined up the way you're thinking,
I mean, that's how the federal government works. That's why I was questioning when in here, when it says will remain at the same step.
Yeah.
Cause that's never how it's been done before. But that's,
our steps and the grades and everything are just.
I think they're a lot
They're not
closer.
lined, yeah, it's not
Okay.
it's not
So,
lined up
like-
like you're thinking, I think.
So like to go, like what you're, from what I remember, because I don't have it in front of me, to go up the step and down the grade to, like what you would typically do, we're talking 5 cents. So then it's not,
you're not getting an incentive. I get that.
so like, because it's so, they're so close, if there was a
They're so
bigger
close.
gap,
Right, right.
I think because our steps are so close. There's not much of a gap in there.
He's at 22.88.
Okay,
But I have no idea how other,
So raising the step like you had it on the sheet, how much of a raise is that then?
He got. $1.49
that's for 2 licenses.
for 2 licenses.
And that's about what it was before the.
Yeah.
The payment structure, cause
Right.
like I said, we used to go 75 cents a license is what.
And so then the next raise, like at the first of the year, he would get 75 more cents.
Cause that's when he'll qualify roughly to take that final license. So that would be about the same as when I got mine and Daryl got his, and Wade got his, would be about that. It's the same amount, it's just a different way of getting there.
Is
But I
that an
understand what you're
answer?
saying, Lynn, on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's, there's no way for me to know whether that's typical, whether it's not.
no, right.
Right.
I mean, that's
So
just.
that's why you asked.
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
So the one thing, I mean, I did. It's probably a question for you, is like, how do we know if like somebody doesn't keep their license? Like,
Are we notified if if it expires or they let it lapse or they don't pass the test or like,
No.
do we make them show proof?
Well. The certificates, on the certificates, it states
how long they're good for?
how long they're good for,
Okay.
yeah. And like, I have. Mine posted and, well, Tim always had his posted, and Tyler's is posted over there, but we can hand them in, so they're in our file, so we know. You know that you're certified, basically.
Yeah, they should be.
Mhm.
I'll put something in there about must show
Recertification or something like that.
HR. How often do you do them? Are they new licenses or?
I think they're good for, they're 2 or 3 years. I can verify that
Okay.
with you.
Probably be good to have copies of them in their files anyhow.
Right.
Just in case.
And the other thing is I was talking to Tyler about this and I didn't realize that we don't pay for those licenses.
Right, it's our license.
Yeah, which
That's why it's out of
I realize that, so that's part of it too. I mean, I have a boiler's license and I know when I worked for the city of Tracy, they paid for my license every time it.
But you guys, the city pays for the continuing ed and all that stuff. But
not the actual license fee,
license
so-
fee we pay for.
Right.
Yeah, my license doesn't.
And I'm not
doesn't
saying we
Pay
should
for
do
my
that, but
license either,
this kind of helps with
cause I
that.
have
What's
to
that
have
run
my
you?
license to have that job.
I think it's 50 some bucks,
Per license?
yeah,
Per year, or,
per recertification. So water's be like $50 some and wastewater is $50 some.
So,
So can I add something in that says if you don't maintain your license, you will be reduced? Appropriate steps? I mean, is that fine? I mean, cause really, if for some reason they decide I am not doing it, well, they shouldn't stay at that pay, cause that's why they got up there.
well, yeah, but did it also have to be a conversation? I mean, I feel like
Right.
that's like a requirement, that's the expectation of the job.
Right,
So if they're not gonna have that, then that leaves us in a bind.
right.
yeah, I don't think that's really an option myself.
I
but
don't
it
either.
Certainly should say that at least, so.
So how would you word that? Something about
Employment,
pending, like,
If licenses are not maintained.
employment may not be guaranteed.
I would, yeah, I would
Something to
say,
this, because that's,
says
because that's always right. Haven't we always hired with that being the expectation that you
That's the
get these
goal. The
things?
ultimate goal is to get certified, yeah.
Mhm.
Everybody's an at-will employee basically anyway, so.
Yeah, but who really
Let 'em
actually
go for it.
follows that? I mean, most
Well, you
do,
can
but
let 'em
it's
go.
so hard to.
I'm just saying, you could let them go for.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
but this way you have a clear justification as to why, if you have it written in there, but.
So what do we need? We need to vote on that or? So we're voting on the wordage change.
I will make a motion to approve on the verbiage change with the addition of reduction in step if not upheld and employment status.
Will be reviewed by HR committee and council.
Sounds good. With those additions.
Anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. By opposed? Motion carries. RCA Atlanta Clinic lease.
So we had meetings about the clinic lease with, Carissa at, New Ulm, and then Brian Brugman, one of their lease people, facilities people. Of course, they're not excited about what we're asking as a pay raise or a rent increase, because they feel at this point they're already paying $100 additional a month additional for things that they feel we should be covering.
But my question is we were covering them, but there was not
To their status.
their standard to their satisfaction, which I mean, we don't provide that service multiple times a day to any business.
Right, right. So,
So I feel like that's
Their
their
comeback-
choice.
right, their comeback is, that they would be okay with the $850 if we change the windows now. Which
Do we have any idea what the windows would?
Well, it's not 850, it's 750. Let's
Right,
be
Yeah.
clear.
then they would pay the extra 100 for,
Right, then they would take care of all the snow.
And are they saying 100 because that's what it averages out? Because there's quite a few months where there is no snow or grass
right.
maintenance.
Yeah, no, I'm guessing that's their average.
This
I
would be-
don't have, actually, have they done that door yet?
Mhm.
You should call them and then have them look at that, just to get an estimate, an idea.
Do that.
And then my thought was to get rid of those small windows underneath and
At
just
least.
do, right, well, yeah.
They don't need to have, it could be
I
one
agree.
window on the
East
north side.
Well, I'd even take out the
Took
north
me a minute to
altogether
get there.
just because north window, but yeah, so.
they're not even asking about the north window though, right?
No, they're not.
Just,
Just
I
ones in front.
thought they were,
they're just got.
Well,
Windows
I
in the
think they
lobby.
I
said
think
all
it's-
windows
yeah.
in the lobby.
Yeah,
It's what they had said before.
Well,
and I was there last week and they have like a on the wall fireplace and plastic over the north windows, but it's plenty warm.
They usually do plastic over the windows each year. When I've been in there, I've never noticed, a draft, but I get that nobody, I don't know.
Yeah,
And maybe not my place to ask this, but. Is there in that thing now where it's gonna be an increase? Like a percentage each
Yes.
year?
yes,
This is gonna be crazy expensive and this is a 3-year deal or a 2-year deal?
3, and I did 3% each year increase.
well, here, I guess. We should get a bid on the windows or find out the
Right.
price, but. Here's the way I'm looking at this is someplace in here it said, we were looking at replacing them after 3 or 4 years or whenever it was. And if we can get them to agree to the extra $100 a month right now without arguing, and to me, it just makes sense to replace them windows now and take that $100 a month for the next 3 years. I realize it's not a ton of money, but it's
Something.
3,600 more than we would.
I feel like we don't do anything till we have a bid and know exactly what.
Well,
those
yeah.
windows may cost,
I agree.
because-
I agree with that, but what I'm saying is, if we just push it down the line, we're just pushing it down the line, so.
No, I'll have 2, 3 bids for the next meeting.
I mean, the windows aren't gonna be an exact replacement, right? Like we're
No,
making them
no,
smaller,
yeah,
we're going to
yeah.
make that more cost effective on our end.
But then that costs money to patch it all in too. I
Mhm.
mean, so it's.
it's
Could be a
tough
big
You can't
project.
one way or the other.
Yeah, it is.
You gotta replace it
Yeah.
again, then the hole's smaller, I mean. Those bottom ones for sure
Gotta go.
are,
But that's why I'm like, it's hard for me to want to agree to any type of lease
Oh, yeah.
until I have a better understanding of what it's
Yeah, and
gonna
I'm
cost
not
us
saying
do
agree
that.
to the lease now, but what I'm just saying in general.
To get it
We
done.
could say, okay, well, they don't wanna raise it, or we'll raise it less or something. And wait 3 or 4 years. We could be getting the additional money in rent. Now, and we're gonna be replacing them windows at some point anyway, but. I'm shopping for windows and stuff right now too, so we're very aware it's not gonna be cheap. Or the labor, so.
Well, and instead of 3 to 5 years, which is what Val had said in there,
Yeah,
maybe we do in the next year, next year, we'll do it or something like that. So that we
next
could,
12 months. or
if
12
they
18
agree to
months.
this, so that we can get a little bit of income, of the extra income first to help defer the cost. Rather than us just agreeing to everything and giving up everything, you kinda
Right,
gotta
right.
negotiate once in a while too.
What's this brine? I was gonna ask you this before, about brine with like for snow and ice buildup. Have you heard of this stuff? Like a liquid
Liquid.
brine?
Yeah,
Is that an option for like sidewalks?
again,
So what is it supposed, what is
it's in a
it,
sprayer.
what do you do? I mean, what is it?
You're supposed to put it out before. It's like a pre-treatment. It's the same thing as salt, but it's a pre-treatment.
The difference is when you leave here on Highway 14 and go east. In the past, they do not put the brine on from here.
The same?
Well, from 71 that way, east, west, they do not put it on. And from the other way, they put it on. And which road is always better?
That way.
Yes. So that's the
Yep,
difference,
right.
but you have to pre-treat
You
it
have to
because
get it on before.
once it started, it's too late.
Okay, I just was curious if that was something that we could do to maybe help them not put so much salt down on the new cement. I didn't know if that was something that makes sense or not. I don't know. I had just seen something and I thought, God, I gotta ask you about that.
Mhm. I was talking to the guy the other day that was about it. He had some.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Cause that's the other, thing I think about is that sidewalk will have to be replaced again. Because of what they use. Well, that's not cheap. It ain't gonna get cheaper. So it just. Something I,
Did they put the protective coating on it?
A sealer?
That white
The white
sealer
sealer.
that they put on everything? Cause that'll hold the salt out, but the problem is then the salt don't really work on it either. It just
Well, that's gonna get really
stays-
slippery?
Yeah, it stays slippery then.
yeah.
But
So, yeah, I mean, if you wanna table this, that's fine, till next month or,
yeah, I think we should have the bids and stuff on the windows and do what.
okay.
And
Any other-
and the cost to patch whatever it's
Yeah.
gonna need to get patched
Right,
up too.
Right.
Anything else on that?
Do you guys have any cares about what you wanna see? Or just? I mean, obviously I wanna make it look nice. I don't want it to be dorky. Like put in a little window and whatever, but I don't know if you guys had a preference.
Well, and they should be aware that it's not gonna be the exact replacements either, so that's, so.
Yeah, they.
The
they might
ones to
even-
the,
Kind of what you
north
guys can
are
agree
not
to.
gonna be as big.
Right.
Maybe one. I feel like there should be one to the north to see
Right, I mean,
traffic
Just
coming
kind of
in
that corner.
that corner.
like, yeah, they might request, like, we still wanna keep one on the north side and something on the east side, but
It's not gonna be as much window as what's there.
Right, sounds good.
And I honestly don't think that that's crazy high rent, but
We can start the fee schedule and then just a few minutes to
Okay.
the public. So what was this that you put in there? I didn't
Oh,
understand what that.
I didn't either, I put question marks by it, cause I
Okay.
did not understand any of that.
so one of the things that I just kind of want to be a little proactive on is, we kind of feel like the school might struggle at snow removal. And we're fine with helping them out, but if it gets to be a consistent thing, we should have a rate of what snow removal would be. So that's what we want to add.
When you say they're gonna struggle, what do you mean?
And
going
it's like,
parking lot?
if we get 2 feet of snow, they don't have equipment to move 2 feet of snow.
Well, they should have a plan.
Okay,
they should, yeah.
They should.
Well,
Well, and the thing is, that they could come to LNS, they could come to us, they could come to and ask, for a rate or what. I want to be prepared and have a raise.
It's a lot easier to
And
have.
know that, okay, if they ask, this is what it is.
It would also be nice to have it too, because in past years, when we got a pile of snow. The post office always calls us to haul out their snow. And this way we have it on the feed, yep, it's X amount. Oh, it's not.
Especially if
There's
you're
no-
being asked to.
See, I didn't realize we were doing that for the post office, but,
Well,
We don't
we haven't for-
We haven't, but
for
because
years,
I'm
but-
just getting into the slippery slope thing of, then if.
Churches wanna start,
A church,
Well,
or an old
Or-
lady in town calls and
But
says,
having
hey, I
this
can't move my
listed-
Why
snow.
you have the rate,
But this,
high enough.
But do we wanna start doing that is what I'm saying, and how do you say no once you just do it for people?
but we have mowing listed and we don't run around to mow personal properties either.
although I've had people ask this year if we would just mow their grass because they can't find anybody. Meaning they probably have burnt all their bridges.
But the mowing is when somebody refuses to do it.
But it doesn't say that.
I know, but that's what it is.
But this is what that is. It's for in extenuating
I'm
circumstances.
not
for
saying
some-
we shouldn't,
I'm just playing devil's
I'm
advocate. here.
not saying we shouldn't have a fee on there. What I'm saying is, should we be doing it for people? That's the only
and
part
that's
of it
the other
I'm
thing you can say
questioning.
too is, we're not doing it.
What happens if, or when, I should say when, we get a better sidewalk ordinance? And just like mowing, somebody's not, cleaning off the sidewalks. So now we're gonna have to do it because they haven't done it.
Yeah.
Kind
That's,
of falls into the same thing.
but it's not the same thing. One is refusing to do it and one is asking to have
True.
it done.
But it'd be the same, right?
We don't wanna become a commercial snowplow organization is kind of what I'm saying is.
No.
The school doesn't have a plan for their parking lot or whatever, doesn't mean we should necessarily go in and do it. They should call.
No, but I wanna just be covered. Just wanna.
I don't have a problem with setting a fee. I'm just wondering if we should be doing it for them or, but. So,
And obviously it wouldn't happen before we get our stuff done.
Yeah.
But
so,
If they
So what are we
need
thinking
assistance,
for a
'cause
fee?
Maybe they do have a plan.
what are we
Right.
thinking for
We
a
were
fee?
just trying to think
Oh.
and get in front of it, just.
snow removal, snowplow, truck or tractor, minimum 1 hour at $250 an hour. Skid loader, minimum, or per hour, 1 hour, minimum $150. I should put in there includes man.
And in my
Or
mind,
operator.
them rates, I would not call and say, can you come move my snow? If you do, I'm now in the snow removal business and I'm available upon request.
You've got enough side gigs, knock it off.
You got like 8 years yet to worry about it.
It's
Right.
gonna be,
Thanks.
8. I'm sticking with 8.
Otherwise,
So was that part of the fee schedule or would
It's
we
on
need to?
we put it on there under public work, that's
Okay.
at the very bottom of page 1, it's in there.
So that'll just be part of the fee schedule if we pass the fee schedule.
Right.
Which, let's stop and basically open the public hearing on taxes. And nobody's here for it. Does anybody want to say anything about it? Being public. If not, we will close the public meeting and resume our regular council meeting. We had it.
There we go.
I was gonna say, I don't really know what that all means.
Well, see, for truth and taxation or whatever it
Yeah.
is, we have to have a public meeting, which the public can just come in and question
Their
that
tax,
proposed tax.
okay,
It's listed
And-
on their proposed tax statement.
Yep.
that you can come in.
So we basically, you stop the regular meeting and you hold a public meeting. Nobody
them to-
came for
okay.
it. So we just closed the public meeting. Now we're back in our,
Regular,
so
okay, got it.
that's. So then back to the fee schedule.
All right.
Is that the only,
I think that's the only addition. And then just, it says the differences when there was a change onto the side there. Um.
Hmm?
Oh, yard waste. Justin would like to get you rid of yard waste collection.
how many do we have using it?
I think we're down to two or
Three?
three.
2 or 3. I think it probably only be 2 next year.
Yeah.
No, 3. Probably 3 next year. But I think it's just.
I know
fine.
one.
Yeah. The other one's the neighbor, and then there's one a little way further away.
And I understand why we have it. It's for, you know, the elderly people that can't physically haul it out there, or maybe don't have any family or anything here. But on the other side of it now is that's open all the time. So it's not like it's a, you know, Wednesday night I had to have it there type of deal.
Mhm.
Now it's 7 days a week, whenever some family member comes or they can line it up. They can haul the stuff out.
The only thing I think of is, right now there may be 3, but we used to have more.
It used to be an entire day.
And
It was before we charged for it. At that time, people would put out a ice cream pail with one dandelion in it.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
Not
But-
a line.
I know. So we don't have many now, but does that mean that there wouldn't be a higher need again? Like just a change, a flux, right?
Well, I
Like
understand that, but
that somebody's gonna get older or not be able to, or,
my thought on the whole thing is, like I said, the yard waste site is open 24/7 now. So they can go out there and utilize it whenever somebody's available.
but also, yeah, it's a whole service to provide for 3. So it's not that it's generating a ton of any income.
No, and it's just a one-time fee of $25. It's not like it's monthly or anything. It's just once.
I'm not against doing it, I don't,
So why do you want to end it? I realize that's open, but it can't be taking a lot of time for 3 people, or are they putting a lot out, or what are they?
no. It's a lot of times the big thing is like, okay, no, like next spring we do this. Well, they've had their glass clippings and their grass and all that. We're storing it over the winter. Until May, the first Monday in May. And there's apples and everything else and everything. It's- It is what it is. It's fine. It's up to you guys. I just thought it was something that. One less thing to worry about is basically what I was after. If you guys wanna leave it there, I get it. I understand that too. It's just a thought.
Cause I was gonna suggest maybe going less often than weekly, but,
Well,
That
no,
doesn't
we
sound
only go
like it.
once a month.
oh, you do?
I think
Except for
October,
October.
October they go weekly.
We go every Wednesday in October. Because of the leaves
I
and,
was like, what's October?
Pumpkins.
yeah,
So
but
confused.
I mean, it's,
So easily confused, I guess.
I just thought I'd bring it up to you guys.
I don't know, I
This time
go
think we
both
should do
ways.
it.
I see both sides.
Well, at this time, I would say leave it. It's my opinion anyway.
And we can see how many people use it this coming year, you know?
Any other on the fee schedule?
No, I did not. I'd make a motion to approve the fee schedule.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion on it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. RCA for 2025 budget.
So when I put out the preliminary, it came to 7.2% increase. I'm proposing 3.614 right now. Plus. Actually, what is it? 30,000 more than last year. The big places that I put money that we don't necessarily or haven't necessarily budgeted a lot for in the past or the last year since I've been here is more into street maintenance. And then tree removal. What we're gonna run into now, the parks are good. We're all set with that and we were blessed with that DNR grant. But now it's gonna be the boulevard trees that are gonna start getting us. And so we just want to be able to have money and be proactive on what we can do to take out as we go. So,
Do some each year versus.
so that alone, gosh, what is that? That I put 20,000 in just for tree removal. I think I put an extra 50 in for streets. I had been more than that. Another 25 over last year, and last year I raised it 75. It's 75 more. Yeah, I'm trying to up that enough to be able to do, actual work. So now we're up over the 2 years, we're up 100. It would be if we pass this up 100,000 over what we used to do for streets. So, my hope is that we can actually fix a little better and get more life out of them than limping along. Is what the hope was there, so that's kind of the brunt of most of it, the big stuff. I did. Yeah, the police, I did, the 100,000, I kept that in there for a full-time police. I do think there is a possibility that we will be able to get one, but it's going to cost. The minimum is gonna be at $42 or more an hour. To cover what they get currently. Springfield just passed $55 an hour rate for their part-time people with no benefits because that's just what it takes to get a police officer. So I kept that in there as well. Otherwise, they're really
I mean,
big increases anyway.
no benefits, that's
Right, that's gonna be another,
average. I mean, that's a
12
thing,
grand. Right,
so I could see that being a wage with no benefits.
yeah. So. Yeah. Otherwise, I tried to, up it a little where we were, this year. I think we had a really good fire, really didn't ask for much, ambulance didn't ask for much. One thing that's gonna come across now here, the end of December. Is the city is giving us a one-time payment to the ambulance, and I don't know what their formula was, but we're getting $65,000. So we have to have a little more understanding what that money can be used for, but that will be coming in as well.
Under the fire, I noticed that the last 2 years, like we budgeted 5,000 in both years, we were over by quite a bit. But we kept it at 5,000. Can I just ask, like,
Equipment improvements,
yeah,
it kind of depends, so like, let's say, like, yeah, they're over. So like 1 year they buy the gas rig and it's gonna be really high, but then the Relief Association pays us money to cover that. But it doesn't offset in that column, that goes into the reimbursement column, so yes, we overspent, but it was covered by something that or a grant.
is there a way to show that on here? It, not even in the memos or anything like, you know, for
Now,
the office.
only if I remember, you
No,
know,
cause like you put new computer for
Oh,
the
yeah.
office.
well, that's because that's what I want to do coming forward.
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
just something like that would be nice, just so that you can understand why some of these numbers are.
Most of that is because they got grants, got equipment, or like this year, probably the biggest thing would be they had to get new turnout gear for 2 people, I believe. Which he got most of it covered by grant, but yeah, it's still money spent.
And kind of the same thing with the utilities. I mean, I guess that one we did go up quite a bit for the swimming pool.
Yeah, in the swimming pool, we just had issues with leakage and it was a big deal. On the parks.
Well, and I know, you know, for the police, we've got it budgeted as a full-time, the 100,000. But even if we hire somebody right now, it's gonna be 6 to 8 weeks by the time.
Oh, yeah.
They get hired.
It's not gonna happen.
So I guess what I'm saying is we could drop like a percentage or something of the overall tax. Because we shouldn't be spending that amount.
But I also don't have health insurance figured in, or benefits really. For that 100,000, so it's still gonna cost us. More. So I don't know if that's our wiggle room or
Well, I'm just trying to get the overall
percentage down.
percentage down.
And it, I mean, we can keep the budget that we have. And lower the levy, it just, we take away from our reserve.
Right, which do we have a calculation of what we're gonna have as a reserve at the end of the year?
No, I just got, property taxes in, that 400,000 or whatever it was, I just got that listed, so.
Cause I know we've been taking some for roads here the last couple of years, but I think we're still at a much higher than what the state is
Right.
requiring us to be,
I keep,
which I agree, we need to spend more on roads too, but we are budgeting for that too, so.
right, and I, you know, some of our reserve, since I haven't been through a road project. I keep hoping and praying at some point something freaking sticks. And a project comes up so that we can start moving forward like Grove Street or whatever. I feel better having that reserve higher rather than lower, just because what does it take to get through that? I don't know.
But a lot of times they make you include all that into the bond anyway, so. A reserve doesn't necessarily help you a lot on that, because. As part of the project, it's required, I believe.
But then what if it's a non-bonded project? So like, let's leave the
Yep.
RV stuff, that stuff, I mean, I don't know. So
And quite frankly, in my opinion, if we don't get some federal or state help, we're gonna just have to go and do Grove Street ourselves anyway. At least get it started, a block or 2 blocks or something, but. And we should have a bond coming off at the end of 25, right?
correct.
Ain't a big one, but. It's everybody's thoughts.
I have more questions.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
What is civil defense? Like, what's that money used for? Whose wages come out of there? That type of stuff.
So the civil defense person is Tom Nipperman, so he gets.
Well, it shows 2,000 is the peak, is the wages on here.
Yeah, civil defense director gets $2,000, which I don't know where that number ever came from. That's what he gets. And then the civil defense would be like your tornado sirens. That sort of thing. So our sirens, we get billed monthly for electricity on the sirens. Yeah, sometimes they require maintenance. I don't know what else about civil defense there really
That's what
is.
it is, I think, and then they have to, like, he has to have a
Training.
A plan.
plan. When catastrophic would happen here. He has to have a plan together, has to be in touch with Sangren up in Redwood on all that.
Is there a way to make sure that's being done?
All I can say to that is when the school applied for the FEMA grant, we used the county's plan. Lamberton itself, as far as I know, doesn't have its own plan. We fall under the county's plan.
Okay,
Then,
then why are we paying somebody if we're
Well,
just gonna fall back on the
You
county?
still have to have a civil defense,
In town.
a civil
He is
defense
one, I know he is
person,
one.
because if a tornado come through town and, you know,
like, take out half the town.
right, you've gotta have a civil defense director. And
I do know that like when we've had people stranded in town with blizzards. Even flooding. And like the motel wasn't open because he went back home for a couple months and stuff. Tom is the one that has found them places to stay. And I don't know if that falls into the civil defense or why, but he's the
Probably.
one that's helping the stranded people.
Okay,
you know, if there was, we're lucky where we're at, but if there was a catastrophic flood type thing too, then that's kind of, and don't get me wrong, it falls on the fire department probably as much, but that's Tom there too, I guess, at this point. So,
And I don't know, like in the future, does that job go hand in hand with the fire chief, or is it essentially at some point two different people? I don't know. It's just something to kind of,
it doesn't always, so,
right?
but I can't answer that for our town. It probably always has been. I don't know who else would.
I think Wade was some of the things. Well, Tom, I think.
I think you're right.
So if you put it down, the levy to 855,000, it drops to the 3.12%. 50. Be 2.4.
The levy, 850,
850 would be taken off 10,000.
and that would put it to 2.4%.
Well, we can keep the budget. See, I look at it too, where if you look at this year's budget and compare to what we've spent, we're way under budget, as a whole, we're way under budget.
Mhm.
Mind you, there's a couple things, big bills like the fire payroll hasn't gone through, that sort of thing. So I mean, there's a few big expenses out there, but in general, we're not hitting our budget or overspending. So I mean, I feel like there's cushion there. Just so I feel like there's still probably a little cushion in next year's budget because, well, I have $2,000 left in my operating, expenses. Well, I'm not gonna use $2,000 this year. I don't care, but you know what I mean? I think there's little things in there that,
What were those two numbers that you just said of what was
okay, so like this year our levy is 830,000.
830? Okay.
Yeah, so if we raise it to 850,000 for next year, it's a 2.41% increase.
So what? look here, but. So what did we cut to go from 50 to 100 with the police, but only get a $30,000?
We backed off on things that we just don't use all of.
Okay,
We should probably talk about this as well. I did keep. We originally talked about 5% on the COLA, so I kept that. So that's where the wages are set at. And like the new computers for the office, well, the budget, my normal budget was 3,800. Well, I'm like $2,000 under that this year. So I know, I mean, we just don't need that much. So I know that, you know, I can take part of that budget with a little bit more and buy the computers.
well, cause I recognize everything you're saying in general, but. You know, the stigma we've got since we did that last project ourselves and had to raise that massive raise is that our property tax is too high in town.
Right.
And I know we gotta keep raising a little bit here and there, but
One of the things that like,
I'm trying to get the other towns to catch us basically and still have
enough
some money to fall back on, so.
parks, the equipment and stuff, I had budgeted in that grant of 40,000, well. I didn't have to budget that, so that's a $40,000 drop in the budget.
The new equipment stuff. What are you talking about?
Well, the grant for the DNR. Parks.
So my personal opinion is I would like to get down in the 1% raise someplace and. You know, is that like 840 or something like that? I don't know where that.
Where it might be.
Last year was 830.
$838 wanted
1% would be 838.
to be
I didn't do the math. I'm just,
On $838,000
$8,300 would be
or, yeah,
10%. 838.
yeah.
838.
Okay, so, tax levy for 2022 was $800,902. 2023 was $8,006.25.
Say that again, how much?
$806,275. Okay, so okay. So I'm good with, I mean, I see what you're saying. I don't wanna get too far behind as far as, like last year, we only did 0.7. And obviously inflation and freaking insurance is just nuts.
Where does 840 put us? Well, insurance is not, my house insurance is going up like 25% next year, so we're need to shop around.
840 puts it at 1.205.
what's everybody else's thoughts on this, I guess?
What was the last time I didn't catch that?
So if we did the levy at 840,000, it would be 1.205% increase over last year.
That's your, that's into 1%.
It's not under 1%, but I could live with that. I'm just, like I said, I'm trying to get it so, in my opinion, that the other towns catch us. And I don't know that, how close anybody's getting or any of that, but again, you know, I would say it's the main complaint I get in general is that our property tax is too high. So, and I realize that we have to collect money to keep moving forward and get the roads fixed and all of that stuff, but I just wanna pump the brakes a little bit, I guess is the best way to put it. So that's my opinion, so it's what you guys think.
I would agree
also,
with you.
I do too.
so. And to me, it's easier to do it while we have a healthy reserve than it is
When
when
we're
we don't.
certain to.
I know 10 years ago, we were wondering how we were gonna pay the bond for the nursing home at the time.
I remember that.
And so we had virtually no reserve whatsoever, so we built it very well over the years. So. And we've done some projects, so.
I agree, from where we were to where we are now, that's not even, we're much better off, that's for sure. You know, yep, and that's a good thing. We have to keep moving forward, but yeah, like you said, if we can pump the brakes a little bit, just somewhere to shape, just for, I guess, for the community's sake, it'd be nice to keep it.
So what number?
I like 1%, but I don't know if that. But you guys, 1.2, I could live with too, I guess, so.
What would 1%, yeah, we just said, yeah,
Be 838, 300.
yep, well, I'll make the motion, 1%, fair enough.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Got a motion and a second?
I need a dollar amount, so I gotta get what 1% would be. $838 is under 1%, $839 is 1.084%.
838 then.
So I need a motion for.
That dollar about that 838, is that?
Got a motion and a second on the 838. Any other discussion on it? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Can I still ask more questions
Oh,
about
yeah.
the budget?
Sure.
You sure, guys?
I mean, it's not
Yeah.
about that, that's fine, but like, you know, I just was going through kind of line item by line item and I just don't understand some of this stuff. Like the EDA wages,
Mhm.
whose are those? Where's that?
Portion of my wage.
Portion.
Okay,
Cause she's the director or the,
So
Whatever
in
that
general,
is.
what happens is Val's, Justin's, and to some point Tyler's. They all get divided amongst the different departments like water, sewer. There's EDA administration. Streets.
yeah, I understood kind of that was what happened to theirs, but I just didn't understand the EDA thing. And then like under the EDA, there's operating supplies and postage. Like we budgeted $1,000 and there was 16,000 spent this year.
Cause we used 15,000 on the lobbyist,
Oh,
which we hadn't budgeted for.
okay,
And then, we did the billboard, Come Grow With Us, that we hadn't budgeted for, and that was like 700, I think.
and what do we contract at the library?
Library contracts would be, I believe we have to pay something that's Palm Creek.
Yeah.
Plum Creek.
Okay, that makes sense.
There's something,
I don't think their newspapers and stuff are under that, are they? They're under
so I think
something
they were
else, right? So,
subscriptions.
Cause in 23, we paid 1,600. And then we budgeted 5,100. And we actually spent 6,100. So it was a huge increase, so I was just kind of wondering like,
I can do a report, and see
What?
what they are.
Why did that jump so much and just the contract?
Was it some of the updates that were done in there? Like, was there a toilet?
That would come out of something else.
Okay.
What, you know, what, library was it? You said contracts?
Other contractual services, 305, yeah.
Okay, so the big one was annual fees. It doesn't say that. Creek Library. Motion pictures being. Plum Creek Library was the big one for 53.95. And then like when she does, here it has motion pictures to be reimbursed, so there's something that's in there that again will get reimbursed, but you won't see the negative with that expense, you won't see the reimbursement,
Well, I just didn't, because we're budgeting 6,200,
right?
but in 23, we only spent 1,600. So it's not making sense as to what the library is doing that all of a sudden is costing us $5,000 more.
There's gotta be, I bet there's a chunk of money into some cost for those movies, some of the movies.
Well,
Newer ones.
I don't know why that would say 61.
Why that much?
they have to pay a licensing fee
Yeah.
for everything.
Not right on here, because on here I have 6813 spent in 2023 out of the 5,100. So I don't have it right on.
Okay.
Last year, it's 2023, it says budgeted 5,100 and spent 6813.50.
So maybe something has to do with with 310, the reading program fees, because that budget was 5,000 the year before. Right underneath it, I don't know, but
Could be just how it came over.
Yeah, and then that dropped to,
right. Under 1,000, that's, I mean,
Where you're at.
Yeah, that's my guess, because this one was like budgeted 600, total spent so far is 911. Again, that one's another one where. She might overspend, but then she's getting the money donated back.
Yeah, but we budgeted.
Well, yeah, but
That's
she
why
does
it's-
special, but
yeah.
yeah.
anything else?
How much more do you want me to bring up? Under the sewer. It says travel conference schools training, I think is, or TMG. We budgeted 15,000, but only spent $8.51.
Yeah,
That was something got messed up there, I think.
I'm just wondering why we're budgeting so much if we're not using that much, because we're still budgeting $10,000 in there.
I think, if we go up to water. We overspent in water, but not a lot, but now we're gonna have 2 people going to water school instead of 1.
And we just budgeted like $217,000 for sewer, but we only spent 74.
Right,
Well, some of that is because you gotta make a transfer for
right.
big
So
bonds too, though.
Okay.
water, sewer, storm sewer, garbage are different because they're considered enterprises. So those funds, they're almost like separate businesses, so they fall differently than other monies spent and revenued and how you can use them.
Okay.
Because the money that we use there, and like you'll see with the bonds, the money will go to the bond instead of to maintenance or wages or whatever
Mhm.
else. And then we'll make money on those.
Well, because the top line of sewer for debt service up there, the top two lines or whatever,
Yep.
there's $80,000 there that hasn't been either transferred yet or
Right.
actually spent,
Right.
so.
Okay. That makes sense then.
Cause that's basically how we pay the bonds for the projects is, it comes out of the sewer and water fund mostly.
Yeah, the rates that we charge.
I can be done now.
Well, and it's something you can come in and ask Val to explain at any point too, so.
Okay.
We wanna make sure if you got questions, they get answered for sure, so. It takes a long time to
Like this year. I
get a
haven't
hold
done
of some of this and you never really do it sometimes, it seems like.
Years, but I haven't done the SIP transfers yet in the budget. I haven't done those yet, but there's there to get done here.
All right, department report, library.
We got more
We got more what?
RCA's. Don't we?
Mhm.
No, no,
Oh, okay. I must have it down below. Okay. never mind.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we do.
Council application.
Council
Next in the
application.
book. It's not on your list.
No,
That's
it's
why.
down below. It's under the resolutions. I put the applications attached. Never mind.
to say it's the last RCA. So let's do the
Depends how
department.
you're following along in here.
Well, I'm following the agenda.
Yep.
Following the pack.
So we got department reports, library, did we
Nothing.
get one on ambulance.
Tim did stop in today. We do have payroll done. They are starting to cover days where they're actually changing the way it will get paged. It will get paged to Lamberton, not dual paged. So it's not Obasso getting paged all the time as well for during the day. So we're getting there. We're almost there. Last year we covered 108 calls ourselves. Obasso covered about 25 calls. He couldn't quite remember the exact numbers, so we're getting there.
Good.
We're getting there.
Fire department,
Nothing.
police,
Nothing.
maintenance.
I don't have anything, I'm just here if you guys have any questions or anything or concerns or anything from the public or anything. It's pretty slow back there, we're servicing equipment and praying it doesn't snow.
The one day it
What
did
day?
snow, and I was curious why he didn't sweep the sidewalks. It's because we didn't have a machine. It was in the shop again, the Bobcat.
It's good.
Skid loader Bobcat. It's the same thing.
That is. I agree with her. Same thing.
Skidder,
You just can't win, buddy.
you call him the skidder?
It's good,
The skidder was in the shop again, so.
but otherwise I don't have anything.
Does it work better?
It's better.
Administration EDA.
Oh, I gave you a little printout.
Yeah.
I did a taste of Stephen Close. We started working on the 2024 audit. I attended a virtual Minnesota Renewable Roundtable put on by AURI. I'm always trying to find different industries and different things, and like this one kind of dealt with some of the stuff that comes off the ethanol plant and things like that, so I'm trying to find things that maybe can spark an industry or spark someplace to go to try to find somebody to come here. That kind of stuff, so that was one of those. League of Minnesota Cities was here for a town meeting, so they had 3 representatives come. Just the city of Springfield sent over 2 people, and then Justin and Tyler came. I don't know, we just pretty much talked about what our struggles are, what we'd like to see.
Some of the same struggles. I mean,
Yeah, it was
Just
kind
about
of,
identical.
yeah, it was kind of surprising. Of course, mine is always the homestead exclusion tax. Another big one that I'm kind of, I just feel like, okay, give us the same tools in the toolbox, or, you know, tools that work for us, because the cities and people have all these tools, but we're never given tools that work for us. So, you know, that's fine. Our tools might look different, but at least give us some tools to work with, you know? Was that ambulance struggles?
What's that about the billing thing?
Oh, this one on here? Oh, God. I started in May,
Oh, sorry.
February, May, last spring with this recertification through Medicare. Oh, my God. I have so many gray hair because of that. Finally, I got somebody to call me back and said, okay, I know you want to answer it this way. Don't answer it that way. And it went through, and by golly, it went through. And then once you did that, finally got that done, then you had to do stuff for hometown billing so they could actually bill different calls. So like you have to put in new Medicare paperwork for the railroad and all this different stuff. So it's finally done.
For the railroad?
They have a different plan than normal people.
Oh,
And so in case you were to ever get a call, you have to have all this stuff done. So it was horrible, horrible process, but it's done now until probably 3 months from now, and I'll have to do something over. Minnesota State Registered Fire, we had just a heck of a time trying to get them their gambling license for last weekend. Because the old association president was still on the Secretary of State's website, and then we asked to change it. Well, all they did is added an agent. That wasn't right, so then we had to do it again to try to get, it was just a fiasco. That's done. The Juniper property is the nuisance property. Talked to Novak. Novak went to some training about nuisance property, and they basically told him, try at all costs not to tear down somebody's personal property, because what happens is my favorite pen was inside that building. You took my property. So what we're gonna end up doing is probably charge criminally, so that you pushing them into a corner to say, okay, either you get charged criminally and you deal with it, or we'll negotiate and settle with you, sell us the house for whatever, and then the charges disappear. So you try to push them through that way instead of just tearing down the house and opening yourself up to liability.
That's not what we voted on though a few years ago. We voted to do it civilly, right?
I believe so.
Because we had the
Have to look
option.
at that.
I believe Madonna was still here, but we had the option. They gave us the 2 options to pursue criminally or civilly, whatever they call it, and to abate and charge them and stuff. And we voted to do the abatement process instead of the criminal process, if I remember. I'm pretty sure we did,
Okay.
but.
So then I guess then we're stuck until we change that. If you want to change that, it's just,
but the way we have it would be in the ordinance, right? I mean,
right.
it'll say,
Problem is we give them a $25 ticket. that really doesn't do us anything, you know?
Right, and I understand where all this is coming from. But I didn't know, even like that house, we were looking at tearing it down,
That would be the abatement of the property.
but, well, I was more on the thing of you go in and cut all the trees around the outside, and if there's holes, you screw plywood to it or whatever, and yeah.
So how do you
Cover it.
ever get rid of properties that? Like I always hear about Springfield that if your house needs to be painted and you don't do it, they get it painted and put it on your taxes.
Mhm.
I don't wanna be that extreme, but how do you deal with houses that are an eyesore for everybody?
And a health hazard.
You
And a
go,
hazard.
you go through and do it, and there's a certain point of where you gotta stop. I agree, we shouldn't ever paint anybody's house, I don't think, but. You know, with the one down there. You,
I mean,
hopefully it goes to the sale. Tax sale at some point,
Right. So
but
then what do you do with the properties that don't go to the tax sale? Like, let's say that Miller House down on Second or Third that you can see through. And he has all, you know, supplies piled up in the backyard and get complaints about it all the time. No progress ever made. At what point do you say enough is enough?
you start hauling stuff away. And boarding it up and. I'm, at some point, maybe you do have to go with the criminal, I'm just saying. We were presented this and we voted to do it civilly, I believe, so. I guess what I'm saying is you can't just jump into the criminality until. Till we vote a different way, is. I guess the scenario I look at is I would have a really tough time of locking somebody up in jail because their house looks like hell. So, and I don't know. I watch the Hoarder Show on TV a lot and there's people who go to jail. And I'd struggle with that, so, but.
Maybe Matt needs to come down here. Tell you what
Well-
you learned, you know, or send a short outline or
I
something.
understand what they're saying and. But it comes back to the thing of. You're always at risk of being sued, no matter. The properties that we have taken care of, at any point, they could have come back and said, well, you. Took my favorite bush out. Oh, well. And I mean, they could have sued us, so.
Okay.
You did say, yeah, like in here it has, okay, any personal property removed from the premises during the abatement process shall be disposed of, and you said you really need to store it and not dispose of it.
Well, and that's something I guess we can kind of work on. As time goes on too, but it's we'll have to look back and see if we can find what we actually voted on.
Yeah,
But
no, that's
but
fine.
that was in the height of the nuisance committee thing and. You know, when we were going through it, we. And I don't remember whose yard we cleaned up at that, whose was it?
There was a few of them that we did that time.
Mhm.
one down here on Second, across the street from her, was one of them.
That was just a couple years ago though, wasn't it? Weren't you already here for that one? So it was before that. It was
That, yeah, that
around,
was just last year, right?
it was
before the
around
sale.
before that.
Still those, wasn't that one of them?
Could have been. I don't remember anymore, but
Was one of them that one by
Can't
Ron,
remember 'em either.
across the street from Ron's, Kelsey's up there? I forget, did we ever do,
I don't know if we ever did
or
anything with
kitty
that
corner
one.
from there?
One was Chuck Sam's house. All the pools, that tree in the back.
yeah. So whatever we decide, but
Okay,
I'm just saying we can't just automatically switch what we were planning to do. Because,
no backs then.
yeah,
Okay.
because we voted to do it a certain way, and not that we can't vote to do it the other way, but I'd wanna see what that entails more too, but
Okay, sounds good. Liquor licensing. Oh, ambulance billing, but it should have been ambulance payroll.
all right, anything else?
Nope.
I would just like to say again that out of the 6 departments we have, it would be really nice if each month they would either be in person or in writing and do a report.
Some of that, I suppose I should give them a reminder every single month, but. Kind of feel like they are department heads, they should know that the council meets
Why, you would think.
the second Monday of every month,
Well,
but.
maybe we need to remind them in a couple times
Email them
and
and
then say
template.
you're not gonna constantly get reminders. This is just part of your
Job.
job. But I'll make a motion to approve those.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Or accepted. Ordinance and resolutions. Resolution to appoint vacant council seat. I think we want to do all these separate, right? Or,
The first two for sure.
yeah.
Daryl Knutson signed up again.
So my question is, do we have to pick one of these two? And can we interview them if we have to?
We do not have to pick any of these two. But once we kind of set a process, we should follow the process. We as a council, in general, as long as we don't violate a law, can do pretty much anything we want. But this is kind of how we decided to do it, and these two applied. In my opinion, we should pick one of these two unless we just don't find them acceptable. I personally don't know either one of them
I don't
in
either.
general. Not that that necessarily matters. I did make sure to talk to Lexi, and she was the second highest vote getter with the big 6, but apparently she did not want to, but so, cause she didn't turn in an application.
Here, it's not actually, I want to serve on council, but I will serve if no one else.
And that's not a reason to have,
No.
I mean, that's kind of where some of, I mean, I went by what was on here.
Right.
And I'm just not loving either one.
Yep. That was my red flag with this one
Yeah,
is,
that's-
and the other thing is, you know, and just plain. How do I say that? If we appoint her, then. You're looking for a new library board president at this point, and I don't know when their term ends, but. So. I'm assuming she's still the president current, right, of the library board,
I don't even know.
but
Well, must be, yeah.
Mhm, she listed that.
so.
I'd like to see others says that they would like to, you know, be involved in the community, and this is a way to be involved.
So just my opinion on this, if I had to pick between the two, I would pick the second. I guess I'm calling it second, just the way it's listed. So if the front is 1, 2, or the back page, or however you want to say it. Again, I don't personally know either one. I don't know that either one's gonna be good or bad or in between, but they're the two that applied. And if I gotta pick between these two, that would be my one.
And then what happens is this, they would be in place for 2 years until there's another election. And then at that point, we'd have the election, either they're reelected or somebody goes in for the last 2 years of the term.
Could be 3 spots.
Next time there'll be
Next time,
3 instead
3
of
spots.
just 2, yeah.
You wanna be a 2 year.
Cause the other option, well, there's other options. And cause we could call for a special election, right?
Could,
But I wouldn't suggest doing that.
No.
Just
all the expense of
the
it.
expense and everything and the hassle is, I see no reason to do that. So,
You could allow more time. I don't know if we get any better results. Yeah.
my personal opinion again is, you know, if we gotta pick between these two, but these two are the two that applied. When it gets right down to it, it's 1 of 5 votes. So even if it's off the beaten path, you deal with it. That's, you never necessarily know when somebody's getting elected, how they're gonna be either on the council, so.
Look what they got me.
I got you and couldn't get rid of you.
We molded you though.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm just gonna, the reason why, you know, at least meeting with them would be a good idea, because I'm gonna give an example of when I first filled out my application. And Dave says, I don't know who that is. And he's my cousin, because he didn't recognize my last name as
Right.
far, you know, like. I don't know, I just think that it's never a bad
It would
idea.
have been nice to see them both come tonight.
Today.
Right, it would have been
Yeah.
nice if they came today.
And you did that.
Yeah, the second time I did it. The
Right,
first
yeah.
time I was watching.
Yeah.
I guess I never even suggested for them to come, never
Oh.
thought of it.
No, I know, it's,
I
yeah, I just.
did when I got filled out, but they didn't do interviews then or, you know, with any of them either.
Well, I tell you what, being I'm on my way out. I'm gonna make a motion to, and I don't know how to pronounce that, but I will say Amanda Keams, Kim?
I think it's Carnes, it's.
Carnes.
Oh, that's an R, okay.
Yeah.
Carnes? I'm just gonna make that motion to, ask her to become Lamberton City Council member.
Big chair to fill.
Yeah, I know it is.
Does anybody want to second that motion?
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I guess I just want to say that I would rather have it extended and see if we couldn't talk to people and get other applications, but that's just my 2 cents, so.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed?
I,
So we got 3. Got 4, isn't it? Did you vote?
Yep.
I'm an aye.
Aye.
So
if you count yourself 4.
4-1, yeah. I was an aye.
Take his shoes off.
Well, that's why they keep it at 5. You don't have to.
So just for clarity wise, she should be here for the next meeting to get sworn in and sit at the table.
Which is tomorrow.
No, she don't start till after
The first.
Oh.
the first.
First of the year.
Not the
Oh,
next,
yeah, duh.
sorry, not the next meeting,
Next.
Okay, well, I
regular
just,
the January meeting. Yeah, so, sorry, I missed that too.
I just heard next meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
It's a Monday.
then we have resolution for support of state bonding request.
We're gonna do a state bonding request, so we just need to have it on the books that you guys support it. This was a request from Bala to put this in, so that's where that came from.
I will make a motion to approve that.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Resolution accepting donations. Which was two from.
NNC better.
Carol Wetter, NNC Wetter, to ambulance and fire department, right?
I'll make a motion.
I could second that.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Financial report and approval of claims. There was one. Under. Core and main LP cement plant parts, what,
The main, their main valve that comes in and shuts the whole plant down, that they close it every night. It's the valve is shot,
why did we pay for it?
because we supply,
Water,
you know,
okay,
the water.
for the meter, how
It's
much?
for the meter, yeah. And it's a big one.
Yeah.
That's what we were working on today when you were bugging Tyler.
What was the criminal advice? That bill for Matt Novak for 2,500 something?
It is, I have no idea. It would be a police question.
Oh.
It's
Okay,
Matt Novak, the lawyer.
yeah, it was a large amount and I just,
Yeah,
Is that like a yearly?
no, that's for probably
a
Okay.
I think
specific
there's two
situation.
cases going on that
Okay.
are larger.
Okay. That makes sense. then.
All right, somebody.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mayor and council reports and communication. Bowig,
Well, like the Grove Street. We keep working with rural development to try to get us going with some, money. So this is what where they're at with RD and the last letter they sent to them and what they're looking at on trying to get this rolling. So yeah, just so you're aware of where that's at and. I feel bad because it's taking forever, but we have not forgotten about Grove Street. It's just taking forever.
all right, EDA grant denial email.
Yeah, the EDA disaster grant on moving our source water and expanding wells was denied. We were supposed to have a follow-up meeting and I have not heard from Robin if that's happening or when it will be.
All right, then, LMC points of discussion.
Oh, I didn't even put that in there, but I told you what they were. It was
Yeah.
just that stuff. I don't know what, oh, yeah, another insurance rate is on their increase. Our decrease. And then.
Next meeting dates, work session tomorrow. 6:00. The regular city council meeting, January 13th. Unless anybody's got anything else?
I was gonna mention is, so we didn't get all of the employee review stuff, which you guys have to get with me. But I'm not, he's got his done, I think I have everything done here, but you guys have to get with me and then. The step increases and stuff we'll deal with at the next regular council meeting, because it's still before that payroll that starts for the January. Hours, so just so you know that that's where that will fall.
Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. By opposed?
I got Chinese.
Adjourn.
Yes.
Please.